Hi everyone, I'm Jeremy Reeves, head blender of Cornell Diehl Pipe Tobacco Company. And if some of you are new to our brand or just getting started in the hobby and kind of noticed like, hey, this Cornell Diehl brand certainly has a lot of options going on. Where do I kind of find a place to start? I wanted to put together something that's sort of a way to consider your starting point. There's lots of different places you can go from this small grouping of tobaccos, but these really make up sort of the heart of the core of our brand. And so I've put them together in some categories so that people kind of can gravitate to the categories that most interest them. We've got aromatic, we've got Virginia, we've got Virginia Perique, we've got Burley, we've got Latakia. So pick your poison, as they say. Start with an aromatic category, autumn evening. So we start with a mature red Virginia grown in North Carolina. We steam that into a Cavendish, and then we add maple and caramel and scotch and vanilla to it, and it is wonderfully rich and full in Virginia flavor, but also deeply infused with notes of those flavorings, and maple and scotch to me sort of define it. The room note is fantastic. It is definitely a crowd pleaser to those around you, but it does not skimp at all on delivering that flavor to the smoker as well. And oftentimes I think that aromatics fail in this way, that they smell great, but they don't necessarily deliver that flavor to the person actually smoking. And I think that Autumn Evening stands out in that regard. Another prominent aromatic in our catalog is Nutty Irishman. Nutty Irishman is a base of red and bright Virginia, white and dark Burley, and just a little bit of black Cavendish. And then it is topped with quite a complex melange of flavors, but the end result is something sort of akin to like an Irish coffee, or maybe something like coffee and toffee. So really nice and sweet. Again, it's got a wonderful room note and plenty of those flavors, chocolate and walnut and coffee and coconut and all of the things that we put together to achieve that aroma and flavor profile. Those flavors definitely come through to the smoker as well. Next category I want to talk about is Virginia blends. Opening night, classic straight Virginia flake, really nice balance between red and bright Virginia, but the red Virginia is sort of favored in this particular blend. The bright Virginia providing some balance on the nicotine side and adding a nice punch of sugar, but the red Virginia really is kind of the star of the show in this particular flake. If you like straight Virginias, this is going to be something that's right up your alley. We do not use any casing, we do not use any flavoring, so that is something to bear in mind. Most Virginia flakes on the market, whether they tell you so or not, have had some sort of additives used in order to get them to hold together in that sturdy flake, and oftentimes people are taken aback by the flavor as well of uncased tobacco. This is what red Virginia and bright Virginia blended together, pressed into a cake and cut into flake taste like, without any of the additives that are common in the industry. Underneath that, Briar Fox. Now, Briar Fox is actually a blend of Virginia and Burley. There is just a smidge of black Cavendish in there, but this is, again, an unflavored, uncased, natural tobacco blend that is perfect for all-day smoking. It is rich enough to be satisfying. It is soft enough to bear repeat smoking. It is inobtrusive enough in its room note to not be offensive to those around you, and it delivers on flavor, delivers on satisfaction, and delivers on just ease of smoking, hands down to me. Last one in the Virginia category is Bijou. Bijou is really special to me because it actually features the specific crop of red Virginia that Cornell and Diehl was using when I started at Cornell and Diehl. So I took the last little bit of this red Virginia that we got from 2003 and cordoned it off specifically to use just in this one blend, and we went on to replace that component in other blends, but the rest of that 2003 red Virginia is specifically only for making Bijou. It's really special stuff. It's incredibly sweet, incredibly mellow. We take that red Virginia and we steam it with a little bit of bright Virginia, not so much to make a Cavendish, but more just to give a depth and richness and caramelization to the color as well as to the flavor. Then we add in a little bit of Catarini, which is wonderfully spicy and reminiscent in my mind of apple cider, and then just a small amount of honey. And pressed into flakes. It is a beautiful, easy smoking dark Virginia experience with a really nice sort of spicy oriental component from that Catarini. Next, Virginia Periques. I've got Bayou Morning here and Bayou Morning Flake, and some may say, oh, well, that's just the same blend, and that is technically true. But it is amazing what differences can be achieved through pressing something and under a great deal of pressure for 7 days, and then cutting that into a flake versus taking literally the exact same components in cut ribbon form and presenting them loose. So I actually recommend trying both, because Bayou Morning is a loose ribbon blend of bright and red Virginia, with a portion of the red Virginia having been stoved, and then a full 25% of the blend is pure St. James Perique from our partners in Louisiana at 31 Farms. This is seed to barrel, real St. James Perique. The seed type goes all the way back to the Native Americans that were making Perique before the Acadians ever even came down there. So this is real deal stuff. But trying it in the loose ribbon, you're going to find a lot more of the pepper and a lot more of the very, very spicy aspects of that Perique to be prominent at the beginning of the bowl, and then it's going to kind of mellow down. Comparing that with the flake, which is literally the exact same components, but just in whole leaf form, pressed into a cake and then sliced into flakes, you'll find that Perique essence has been just extruded through all of the other leaf, and it's notably darker, it's notably deeper. The spiciness is reduced quite a bit, and instead you get this deep sort of plummy, pruny, stewed dark fruit element to the flavor that I think really makes it quite distinct from the loose ribbon version. So I would highly recommend trying both of these. Next we're going to go into Burley. I've got Haunted Bookshop here. Haunted Bookshop is a great classic, sort of harkens back to over-the-counter blends of old. It was actually blended by Cornell and Diehl customer and part-time blender Bob Bernowski back in the day, and he was just such a student of Burley leaf and contributed so much knowledge and so much expertise to Craig and to Patty about using Burley in blends, and was really a lot of the reason that C&D grew to kind of be known for our Burley blends. Bob Bernowski had a lot to do with that. Bob came up with this idea for Haunted Bookshop. It is cube cut Burley mixed with some dark Burley, some bright Virginia flake to sort of mirror the compressed, slow burning characteristics of the cube cut burley. We've got some broken up bright Virginia flake in there, so you've also got some sort of pressed, slow burning, sweet characteristics that are coming through, and then a nice full portion of Perique as well. It is rich and smooth and chocolatey and nutty, and elements of those plummy and kind of spicy flavors coming through from the Perique. Wonderful balance between the white burley cube cut and the bright Virginia flake components in there, and it's just an all-around great, easy to pack and easy to smoke, but rich and full-bodied. Bear that in mind. Burleys tend to be a little heavier in the nicotine category, but Haunted Bookshop is just a killer blend. Next, I've got Old Joe Krantz. Old Joe Krantz is a blend of dark burley, cube cut, red Virginia, and Perique. The Perique portion is stout. Dark burley tends to be a little higher on the nicotine content than does white burley, and so most of this blend is burley. There is some red Virginia there, but there again, you've got more strength on the nicotine side, less sugar. To counteract that, we add just a little bit of molasses to the cube cut in this blend. So you'll note that it mentions sweetened cube cut. That is how the cube cut is sweetened. It kind of softens some of that edge that burley can have. But this is, again, just a no-nonsense, straightforward, old-school burley smoke. I think it is rich and really deep and dark with wine notes and clove notes. And again, no flavoring used. That's true of Haunted Bookshop. That's true of the Bayou Morning and Bayou Morning Flake. That's true of the top two Virginia blends. The only, if you want to call it flavoring, a little bit of actual honey added to the tobacco. This is really not actually adding a whole lot of flavor. You're not going to pick up on the honey when it's burning, but it is going to soften some of the pH balance that Virginia brings to bear. Lastly, we've got some Latakia blends here. I've got Pirate Cake, 75% Latakia. Latakia is usually used in more condimental ways, but C&D has always been more interested in kind of going for the richness. And Pirate Cake, I think, actually delivers quite nicely. It is really driven by the flavor of Latakia, as you might expect, with just a little bit of some burley and some Oriental tucked in the background, just kind of rounding off and adding a little bit of depth to the flavor. It is easy smoking, as Latakia on its own typically is, because it's essentially been part cooked from the long-term smoke curing that is required to produce Latakia. But it also is just a delightful room note if you like the aroma of Latakia, as many of us do. I think it is fantastic in that regard. I think that the flavor is easy to access. It really kind of opens up and provides you with a lot of Oriental complexity underneath that smoke if you're prone to slowly sipping. If you are a big heavy puffer though, this blend is not going to bite your tongue. And that is one of the major aspects of Latakia that I think a lot of people don't realize they're appreciating, especially as they get into English blends, which oftentimes we seem to do when we're starting out. I think that Latakia is just really forgiving to the smoker. And then last here, I've got Star of the East Flake. Star of the East Flake is one of my favorite English blends that C&D produces. 50% Latakia, and it is straight up standard classic English with Virginia and Oriental. Virginia really being the thrust of the blend, Latakia being just behind that, and Oriental sort of serving as a very supporting role. It's a classic flavor profile. It performs beautifully in a flake, and I think it also ages really well. So that's just an overview of some of what C&D has to offer, but many of you probably are aware we have a whole lot more than this, a whole lot more than I'd be able to provide in this short a video. So hope that helps, guys. Have a good one. Talk to y'all later.